Hello, it's Tyler Hartzell here at Southside Elementary, and I just want to give you a quick tutorial as to how to add and subtract fractions. If I have the fraction 1/4 and I'm adding to that the fraction 2/4, I will need to do a few things. The first thing is I want to start by drawing a picture. The picture allows me to see what I'm dealing with. So if I have 1/4 and I'm adding to that 2/4, I can see what exactly is taking place. So I'm first going to add my 1/4, and that's this number, the first number, and I'm going to add the 2/4. 1/4, 2/4. Now if I look at that, I have 1, 2, 3 fourths. The top number, the numerator, is showing me how many pieces we're talking about, and the bottom number, the denominator, is telling me how many pieces there are in a whole. So in this case, there would be 4 pieces in a whole, and I'm referring to 3 of them. So 1/4 plus 2/4 is 3/4. Now, oftentimes, you may not have the same denominator. And if that's the case, we may have a problem like 2/5 plus 3/10. Now, I cannot do anything with these fractions right now because the denominators are different. We have a 5 here for the denominator, and we have a 10 here for the denominator. And so I can't do anything with them right now. And so what I need to do is I need to take a few simple steps to find the common denominator, and then I can add. So reviewing our previous lesson on how to find a common denominator, the first step is I need to list the multiples of the existing denominators. So we'll start with the 5. I have 5, 10, 15, 20. I'll stop there. The multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30. Now looking at this, I need to underline the numbers that match from each set. I have 10 in both sets, and I have 20 in both sets. Now my common denominator is going to be the number that is the smallest in both sets. In this case, it's the 10. So my new common denominator would be 10. So now I'm going to rewrite this problem using my new denominator of 10. And so I have to look at this and I have to ask myself, what did I do to this 5 to get to 10? Well, I multiplied it by 2. It always has to be a multiplication. It can never be addition, it cannot be subtraction. It needs to be, what did I multiply the denominator by to get the new common denominator? In this case, it's 2. So 5 times 2 is clearly 10. What I do to the bottom, I need to do to the top. 2 times 2 is 4. Looking at this 10, what did I do to the 10 to get to this 10? Well, I simply multiplied by 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. Now looking at this, I can now add because we have like denominators. And because I have like denominators, I can add this two fractions together. 4/10 plus 3/10 is 7/10. I cannot reduce this any further, and so my answer would be 7/10. So far we have added two fractions that have like denominators, and we have added two fractions that do not have common denominators, and we simply found the common denominator and added. Now for a challenge for some of our students right now, we're talking about adding numbers that do not have like denominators, and they result in an improper fraction. For example, if I have 3/4 and I'm adding to that 4/8, my first step would be I will need to find the common denominator. So I list the multiples: 4, 8, 12, 16. I list the multiples of 8, which would be 8, 16, 24. Now I have two numbers that are alike in both sets. That is the 8 and the 16. I'm going to use the smallest number that is underlined, and in this case it's the 8. So my new common denominator would be 8. Now, what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So what did I do to the 4 to get to 8? Well, I multiplied by 2. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 3 times 2 is 6. I look over at the 8, and what did I do to the 8 to get to 8? Well, I simply multiplied by 1. So what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 4 times 1 is 4. Now looking at this, I can add straight across now. That would give me a sum of 10/8. Now this is known as an improper fraction. When the numerator is larger than the denominator, we call this an improper fraction. An improper fraction is not a valid answer. We have to turn this improper fraction into what we call a mixed number. A mixed number is a fraction made up of whole parts as well as fractional parts. So if I have 10/8 here, this is not a valid answer. So what I need to do is I need to turn this into a mixed number. And so since our denominator is an 8, to make a whole, I would need 8/8. This is equivalent to 1 whole. So I'm going to start off by looking at this, and I'm going to see that I have 10/8, which would result in a whole and a fractional part. So if I take 10/8 and I subtract 8/8, that would give me 1 whole. Follow through with the equation, and that would give me 2/8. So I have 1 whole and 2/8. Now, 2/8 is not its simplest form. This 2/8 can reduce to a smaller fraction. So if I take my 2/8, and because they're both even numbers, I can divide by 2. And if I do that, that will give me 1 whole and 1/4. Now we don't write it 1 whole, so the answer would be, for this problem, 1 and 1/4. So walking through what we've done so far is we have added fractions that have like denominators, and we have drawn a picture to show that. We have also added fractions that have unlike denominators that result in a proper fraction. And finally, we have added numbers to fractions that have different denominators, which resulted in an improper fraction, which we then converted into a mixed number. These are the type of things our students are working on right now, and I encourage you at home just to go through and make them up. Give it a try. Definitely watch this video over and over again and see where your child is messing up and see where we can assist them. This video allows you to take a little bit of me home with you, and so if you have questions about the work we're doing, all you simply have to do is log on to our blog and you can see the video. One more quick thing before we go. Right now we're working on working towards adding mixed numbers, and before we get to that, we're teaching the students how to take a mixed number and convert that into an improper fraction. So if I have the mixed number 1 and 2/4, and I want to convert that into a improper fraction, what I would do is I would first look at the whole. Now, because I have 1 whole and my denominator is 4, 1 whole would be equivalent to 4/4. So if I look at this, I have 4/4 plus 2/4. Can't forget about the fractional part. And that gives me a sum of 6/4. Now if I want to turn that back into a mixed number, I'll take my 6/4 and I can subtract from that 4/4, which will give me 1 whole. Then will leave me with 2/4. So I have 1 whole and 2/4, which takes me back to my original problem, original mixed number of 1 and 2/4. And if I want to take a mixed number and turn it into I took a mixed number and turned it into an improper fraction. If I want to take an improper fraction, turn it into a mixed number, I simply got to decide and compute what makes up a whole, and the whole is always made up of the denominator over the same number for the numerator. So 1 whole here would be equivalent to 4/4. If my denominator here was 6, my whole would be 6/6. If my denominator was 7, it would be 7/7. If it was 8, it would be 8/8. All these are equivalent to 1 whole. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at tyler.hartzell@harrison.kyschools.us. Thanks.